Hello everybody and welcome to IPR's Game Room. My name is AC and today I'll be talking about Spell the RPG as well as its supplement Spellbook Volume 1. Spell the RPG was written by Taylor Smith and is an RPG about the magic of words, literally. In the world of Spell, you cast magic by saying words in the universal language, and by saying them, you make it happen. For instance, you could heat up a cup of tea by saying warm, or encourage a plant by saying grow. It's a really cute idea, especially since there's so much that you could do with that. For instance, there's a huge difference between blustery and breezy, and the idea of someone using the yeet spell to throw something very far is just so very good. It's very flexible setting-wise as well, leaving plenty of room for GMs and players to create their own worlds. There are some example enemies in the sourcebook, as well as some groups that you could use to jump off of during character creation, but it's all very open-ended, which I really like. The spell sourcebook feels very fantasy-oriented, but this system could totally be used for sci-fi or really any setting. And the Spellbook Volume 1 shows that off really well, with 5 campaign supplements for Spell the RPG. Ranging from the high fantasy God Queen, where players play as descendants of the first god who have inherited her power and who now must help guide and create the land, to the absolutely fantastic Magic Moon Warriors, which is how I'm finally going to complete my childhood dream of becoming a magical girl. It's all I've ever wanted, and players do exactly that, playing as students who become magical teens complete with transformation sequences, helping the moon goddess defend their world. The other settings in the spellbook are just as fantastic, ranging from a Buffy the Vampire Slayer-esque high school spooky mystery to a surreal sci-fi. They're all incredible, with incredible art for all of them as well. What you can kind of see, and what I'm gonna pull out here, what you can see here on the cover is just a tiny taste of what is in the book. Each one is fully illustrated with absolutely incredible designs, as well as black and white, just fantastic drawings throughout the whole thing, which I love so much. Incredible. The mechanics of Spell the RPG are also super simple. Players have 12 impulses, which serve as your stats, and these are things like calm, hope, daring, style, and focus. Players can have up to 6 levels in an impulse, and start out with 12 points to divide between them. It's recommended that you leave some impulses with 0 levels in them, because, after all, nobody is good at everything. To perform an action, players roll 1 6-sided die for every point in the impulse that they were using. For example, if you're trying to charm your way out of a situation with style, and you have 3 levels in your style impulse, you would roll 3 6-sided die and take the highest number. If you have no points in an impulse, you cannot use that impulse for actions. The GM decides the difficulty rating, either average, hard, or epic. An average difficulty rating means that a player must roll at least 1 die at a 4 or higher. A hard difficulty rating means that a player must roll at least 1 6, and an epic difficulty rating means that a player has to roll more than 1 6. This can be helped along by players using various bonuses or help actions, or by using a spell. Spells are performed by rolling the impulse associated with that spell and adding up the value of all the dice. Players then draw that many letter tiles out of a bag without looking and have to use those letter tiles to spell out a word, which becomes their spell. I love this mechanic a lot, even though I can't spell to save my life. It's just so creative and wonderful and forces so much creative thinking. For instance, if you wanted to cast a spell using your hope, but only had the tiles to spell rain or something like that, you would then have to figure out how to make rain into a hopeful spell, which is just so fantastic. Players can also force a spell, turning a tile the wrong way to make it into a different letter, or purposefully misspelling a word to make it work. These spells will still work, but they'll have penalties attached to them. You can also choose to wait. keeping a number of tiles equal to the level of the impulse that you use to roll that spell. Then, on your next turn, you must perform another spell using the same impulse. You then can use all the tiles at your disposal to try again. Once a player has successfully performed a spell, they can spend 1 potential point, which is essentially XP, to keep that spell for good. The spell starts at level 1 and can be leveled up to level 6, just like an impulse, and it can be used in place of an impulse when performing an action, following the impulse rules. The spell must be associated with the impulse that was first used to roll it though, and it must have a similar effect each time it's used. There are also tokens, which are given out by the GM as a reward for good role-playing, creative ideas, really anything the GM wants. These are a letter tile placed face down and can be used by the players to add to a spell or to re-roll any roll. One of my coworkers actually gave me the fantastic idea of using polystyrene or shrink-eating plastic to make your own letter tiles for this game. You could also totally use it to make minis for all the characters or any other props that you think you might need. And I think it would be really fantastic and super fun to spend your session 0 not only creating your world and your characters, but also crafting and creating your own custom props. Plus, then you get to keep these after the game is over, so you have a little souvenir to remember it by. Damage in Spell the RPG is tracked via Spirit, which is counted as the total sum of all of a character's impulse points. As such, impulses can be temporarily lowered when Spirit damage is taken. Every offensive action in this system is treated as a contest of sorts. First, an acting player or creature states their action or goal for the turn. Then the defending player or creature rolls an impulse or uses a kept spell to resist that action. Whatever the defending player's highest die result is what the acting player must roll at or above to be successful in their action. Additionally, each 6 that the defending player or creature rolls equals a -1 die for the acting player or creature, though it can never go below 1 die. Each die that the acting player rolls that is at or over the goal equals -1 spirit damage to the defender. This spirit damage affects whatever impulse the creature was using when they were resisting that action. For example, let's say a defending player rolled a 5 using their calm to resist an action. The acting player then rolls a 5 and a 6, resulting in -2 spirit damage to the defendant's calm impulse. This can go down to where a character has a 0 in that impulse, but it is temporary and it can be healed. If a character takes so much spirit damage that they are out of impulses, they are down. And this is something that I really like about this game. Being down doesn't necessarily mean that you are dead. It just means that you are incapacitated. Now, you could totally change this to make it so that you are dead, but I think it's really nice to have a game every once in a while where failure doesn't necessarily mean character death. It's just really nice and lighthearted. So if you like really fun, lighthearted, super innovative and creative RPGs, Spell the RPG is available on IPR's website through the link in the description below, as well as Spellbook Volume 1, both of which I highly recommend. They're super fun and I cannot wait to play them with the IPR crew. As always, make sure to check out all of our other social media accounts as well, such as our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and check out our monthly newsletter. It's super great. It's got a bunch of fun information on there for Kickstarters and podcasts that we think you guys will like, as well as all the news that you need to know about what's happening at IPR and in the games industry. And as I mentioned in last week's video, Gen Con Online is coming up really soon actually. It's next week, and IPR is going to be there. We're going to have a bunch of fun events happening, including the Queer RPG Designer panel, which I will be running. Jason has 2 panels of his own, and we're going to have 2 actual play sessions that will be streaming live right here. We're going to be playing BFF, which Jason has talked about before on this channel, as well as Shinobigami, which I'll be talking about next week. So make sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for all of those fun things. And remember, gamers, using thesaurus.com is not cheating. It's not. I was an AP English kid, and I was in the newspaper club, and I can't spell or think of a synonym for any word ever, okay? It's not cheating, it's just using all of the resources at your disposal. Talk to you next time.